The conference this week is on what are we studying this semester? The spine. The book for the semester is Awakening the Spine by Vonda Scarvelli. And I would like all of you, I said this last week, I'll say it again this week, to have this in your yoga library. It's a really good book. I love a lot of her writing. It's very beautiful and inspiring. And some great pictures of like the vertebrae, understanding the vertebrae and the spine, and then pictures of nature she compares it to. But the best thing about the book is all the pictures of her doing yoga in her 80s, which is very inspiring for all of us. So one of the things we're talking about is how important it is to keep our spines healthy as we age. And one of the best ways to do that is yoga. So last week we talked about elongation of the spine through the practice, and also moving prana through Sushumna Nadi, which is the main nadi that runs through our body from the base of the spine through the crown of the head. We talked last week about the movement, the vayu, the wind is the movement of the prana, as we inhale it moves up through the spine, and as we exhale we push it back down through the spine. And one of the ways we keep ourselves healthy energetically is to get that strong movement throughout the body, throughout the spine. So last week we worked on the different poses where we could get elongation from the base all the way through the crown of the head. We talked a little bit about good structure in the spine and how we can pull out of the lower back, pull in through the belly, Uddiyana Bandha, and lengthen from that mid part of the spine that's dead a lot all the way through the cervical spine, the crown of the head. This week we're going to talk about a very specific movement of the spine, a stretching of the spine, which is this movement. Doesn't that feel good? Just when you everybody do that for a second, just right now. Just take a big inhale and arch slightly back and stretch the spine, open the heart. So where in our yoga practice do we do this? Up dog. So we're doing primary series today. We're going to do about 60 or so up dogs, right? And really lengthen the spine and open that front of the body and stretch. Breathe. Where else do we do that in the practice? Yeah, some of the vinyasas, absolutely. It's a good one. Where else? Back bends and Ustrasana in primary series. So we kind of work our way up to that at the end, and then we do a full opening through either bridge or full back bend. So where in your life do you do this movement?
Maybe when I wake up.
Yes, some of you wake up, hello world. Unfortunately, in our daily lives, we do this, and we start to shrink. So we always talk about as we age, and particularly in this culture, that we actually shrink an inch or so. Why is that? Do you guys know the anatomy behind shrinking? Yes, cartilage between the vertebrae. We start to compress and shrink in this way. So again, one of the things that we're trying to do in the practice is to kind of reverse this by lengthening and opening ourselves. So unfortunately in our daily lives we are not always sitting in the best posture. So what happens when we're driving our cars and sitting in front of our computer and texting our friends is that we're doing this rounding in the back and we're not lengthening the spine. So it's important that we do a practice on a regular basis where we're doing a lot of opening in the front of our body and back bends where we can get that. And you know, we always talk about yoga, and we have, especially lately, how yoga is two things. It's the anatomy, and it's also the emotional or spiritual aspect of the practice. They're combined in yoga. So this is a great example of that, because if we look at the anatomy of the body, we can see how physiologically we shrink and start to round our backs, what bad posture can do for us, right? But there's also this idea that our emotions affect our body as well. So when we're afraid, when we're stressed, or when we're angry, oftentimes we take that same body posture, which is a protective posture, and close our bodies up as well. So again, we've been studying Vonda's book, but I love that she used the word awakening. Because even that first sun salute, that second sun salute, when you do that, you feel like it's more than just stretching your spine. You feel like you're waking it up with the prana. And the idea for us really is that we want to do that emotionally in our lives as well, right? We do this practice to we've been studying this last semester with our Rumi quotes and stuff and poems about taking the risk. Don't be one of those merchants that won't risk the ocean. That's being big, that's being expansive, that's being wide and open to take risks. Our other quote, we talked about losing sight of the shore, right, for new things. The same thing is really opening ourselves up in that way. It's just that word awakening, opening ourselves up. So the yoga is so beautiful because it gives us both. It gives us that opportunity to physically open our bodies and get our spines really beautiful and healthy, and also at the same time help us open up our emotional, our spiritual self as well. So within the practice, we are going to do a lot of up dogs today. So just a little quick demo. What we want to look for in up dog is dropping the hips down and allowing the hips to kind of move down and forward, and feeling the hip flexors allowing the spine to stretch along the front. And I know some people some people like to bring their head back. I recommend just looking forward in up dog, opening the chest a little bit wider by looking forward, and not cranking your cervical spine, but keeping that just a beautiful extension with the rest of your spine. And also when we get to back bends today, when you move into back bends today, really working on using your hands and using your feet like we were doing in down dog last week to get a little more extension and opening in the spine. And of course this morning using that big inhale in your up dogs and in your back bends, and trying to get your inhale to not only come into the heart area, but all the way through the crown of the head is the idea of the pranic movement, that we want it to go all the way through Sushumna Nadi. So from the base of the spine, Muladhara, it's going to travel all the way to the crown. So you have to kind of stretch that inhale out and allow yourself to kind of not struggle so much in up dog, but kind of release yourself into it. I was describing it on Sunday as like just taking a big drink of water. You know, it's something that, you know, we don't want to rush up dog. We want to stay there and just relax into it and allow the body to just stretch and open when we're in that pose. It's so good for us. So I'll hold you guys a little bit longer as I normally do in up dog and give you that opportunity. I also want to give you some bonus homework, and for the people that follow us on our YouTube channel that are our extended family, to get out of your seats as much as you can. Like even set timers, do creative little things. So if you're one of those people that sits in front of the computer for a while or gets into a good book or, you know, has to drive for long, you know, periods of time, that you set like 1 hour intervals or something where you stop and you get up and either get one of those nice balls that you can lay on, or even just standing up and clasping your hands behind you, pulling your arms back, and then looking up at the ceiling. Just for a minute, and then you can go back to your important stuff, right? That can make a huge difference in our posture and the way we're holding ourselves in our repetitive movement throughout the day. So the quote for this week is very short and powerful. It's by Brian Katie, and she said, "Life is a constant opportunity to wake up."